Okay, so let me start with the proper introduction. So dear guests, good day and welcome to the first of the conversations of the International Festival, literally mapping of the Mediterranean. Warm welcome to all of you, and particular warm welcome to our guest, Jonathan Bousfield, Rada, and our guest and our host at the same time, our very own Jasen Boko. So allow me, first of all, to introduce our guests with a short few words before we start conversation. Jonathan Bousfield, born in Leeds, freelancer and author of the Rough Guide to Croatia. He's a regular writer on culture, history and travel for Youth and Middle East, Time Out Croatia, Calvet Journal, New Eastern Europe and others. Correct me if I say anything wrong, please. A former rock critic. He lives in Zagreb. He has been living in Zagreb now for 10 years. Okay? So he's also our own, in a way. Jonathan Bousfield's other authorial credits include rough guides to the Baltic states, Austria, Bulgaria, Poland, and Dolin Kindersley eyewitness guides to Bulgaria, Slovenia, Eastern and Central
That's
Europe.
Too long a list.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, you can list that out.
All right.
I don't need to know all that.
Okay, fine. So this is Jonathan. And do they need to know about your blog? Yes, let them read your blog. Okay, he has a very good blog. It's called Stray Satellite, and you can follow him at www.straysatellite.com. Okay, enough said. Fine. Okay, Jasen Boko. I'm going to talk about Jasen for some like 30 minutes, so if somebody needs to go to the toilet, please go. All right, our Jasen, born in Split, Croatian travel writer, playwright, biographer, journalist, critic, currently employed at the Croatian National Theatre here in Split. He has written 15 books, am I right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, on theatre and travel. As I understood, out of these 15 books, 6 were travel books, and the others were like theatres, biographies and stuff. They're very interesting. So, he's also written 20 plays, mostly for children and youth. 40 of those plays were staged. He's an author of a really very special kind of travel literature. He travels, but kind of connects these travels with the history, with the ordinary people he meets on the street, and he writes wonderful books. He also writes biographies. The Odysseus was a biography. Diocletian was again a kind of biography. Then, let me just read, for the books In the Footsteps of Odysseus, you won the most important award for a non-fiction work in Croatia in 2012. He has trodden the Silk Road and wrote a book under the same title. He has followed journeys of Alexander the Great from Macedonia to Uzbekistan using local transport.
Including Afghanistan.
Including Afghanistan, yes, there was this episode that we hope you will hear from him. Then he traveled and wrote all over Latin America, from Patagonia to Cuba, inspired by Che Guevara. So it is a kind of like a combination of everything. He's in love with India,
Yeah.
often travels there. And not only that he travels there, he shares his knowledge and love for traveling to India and other countries with many co-fellow travelers. So until these pandemic times, there were people who were actually traveling together with Jasen. And there is also a book, A Life and Death of the Ganges, that you wrote, and the biography of Tinujevic. And okay, I'm going to stop now because I'm rude. I'm rude to our other guests, but yeah. And Rada, a German journalist and writer, Göppingen born. His journalistic and literary work has a focus on Eastern Europe and especially on German-Polish relations. He has lived in Berlin since 1983. He's an editor for the German newspaper Die Zeitung, excuse my German. So, and book author also. In 2014, the publishing house Pantheon published The Adria, The Rediscovery of a Place of Longing. In this book, you also wrote about Split, if I'm correct. We would like to hear about that, please. He has received various grants and awards for his journalistic work, including those from the Robert Bosch Foundation and the Goethe Institute. He has published several books on the history of Eastern Europe. His travel books are famous for being both written in an investigative, journalistic, and poetic way. You were also a resident. You was also a resident writer in Pazin, I know, and probably somewhere else, and people loved it there. So, also I would like to greet and wish warm welcome to Petar Bogic. Petar is sitting next to Uwe. Petar will be helping us not to get lost in translation. Alida says that Petar is absolutely the best student she has ever had, and if Alida says so, then it has to be so, that it has to be the truth. And we will start this conversation with a reading from Uwe's book. The text will be read by our other assistant helper, Mia Bojan, the third-year student of the Theatre Arts Academy here in Split. So, Mia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Who among you, ladies and gentlemen, knows of another sea named only after a city? The Adriatic is spoken of in Venice and in Vlora in Albania, in Bari in Apulia, and in Bar in Montenegro. Mare Adriatico, or simply L'Adriatico, is what the Italians call the Adriatic.
Wonderful, thank you. So, okay, guys, let us start. So, travel literature, which is the topic of our today's first conversation, together with tourism, wanderlust, and some other stuff, is a very special genre, definitely. So, but you say that this decline of popularity of the guidebooks actually started even before the pandemic.
I think it did. I think they were probably at their commercial peak about 15 years ago. Okay. Then there was a financial crisis when people carried on traveling, but they spent less on the accessories that they took with them. Okay. Then there was the rise of the smartphone, which enables us to look at our screen and make instant decisions on
even applications for tourists and travelers.
Es gibt auch in anderen Ländern Traditionen, aus denen man von Deutschland lernen kann und auch lernen muss. Es gibt in Polen eine Tradition der Reportage, die ist viel älter und es ist eine, oder fort mit der polnischen Reportage.
So the situation in Germany is a bit different because in Germany non-fiction and travel guides are not dying out. So it's not something that's critical in nature. And Germany is a bit slower in adopting all these different traditions of writing and adopting different kinds of writing. And Poland is a great example in terms of reportages and the way they write them. And a great influence was Petar Matvejevic, who already in the last century, so already before 30 years, had his influence in Germany.
I want to connect to what you said. I think there are two, when we talk about travel writing, there are two things to distinguish. Like Jonathan mentioned, he was talking about the guidebooks, and we talk about travel writing, and I absolutely agree. It's from my experience that how guidebooks are going down, on decline, because of the internet and everything. And travel writing is not declining. I agree with you that it goes up. So it's very interesting. You have to find your place now. And this, I'm really proud of that. And I think this is why I like travel writing. It can do much more than fiction in this. I'm not talking if travel writing is as good as a fiction. So I don't say it's better and worse again. But I think we can, this promotion of differences is really important. You know, that we are all the same on the skin.